Good morning, traders. I am Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Monday, October 20th. We're coming off a strong finish to last week, with investors keeping a close eye on the ongoing government shutdown, U.S.-China trade relations, the latest round of corporate earnings, and the release of delayed economic data. On Friday, stocks moved higher across the board. The Dow gained 238 points, the S&P 500 rose 34 points, and the Nasdaq advanced 117 points. Bill, let's get into Monday in a new week with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're up 0.28%, almost three. That's positive, about 0.3%. You gotta like the start of the day, and the market's really preparing for a big week of earnings announcements. Yet 80 of the S&P 500 companies all set to announce their earnings this week. That's why it's a big week. And also on the docket, the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he's going to be meeting with China's Vice Premier in Malaysia, and they're going to help. This is going to help the trade tensions that's going on between the U.S. and China. Speaking of the government, the shutdown continues, and no real breakthroughs are expected anytime soon. What else we have? Well, President Trump's meeting with the Prime Minister of Australia today. They're going to be likely to discuss tariff issues. They're going to be a press announcement, so expect some, type of, positive outcome from that press conference that they're doing later today. Last week, we had a lot of negative action, and it was really due to the health of regional banks here in the U.S. Those fears have subsided. They're pretty much over with. So, we're seeing some action in the banks today. But one of the big stories today is Amazon. Amazon experienced a DNS, a denial of services issue out of its Virginia data center this morning. That just caused a lot of companies to fold their services. Nobody could get access to them. The FAA, they've given Boeing permission to increase their 737 jet production. That's all positive. But listen, tomorrow morning's a big day for earnings. We got reports due out from GE, Coca-Cola, Philip Morris, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, 3M, GM, Quest Diagnostics, and Halliburton. They're all scheduled to report tomorrow morning, so we got to keep a close eye on that. And then we're turning our attention over to what's going on in Europe, and we are seeing mostly positive action. Look at the DAX. The DAX is up 292 points, or 1.23%. Financial stocks are higher. Defense stocks are outperforming. That's good to see. In London, market's up 0.44%, or 41 points. Get some strength in the financial stocks. Also, supporting it are commodity-linked stocks. Mining stocks are also higher. In France is down. It's actually down 0.07%. Luxury stocks are trading higher. However, there was a recent credit downgrade on France by S&P, and that's kind of weighing on the index this morning. Turning our attention over to Asia, and last night, we saw big gains in Japan. The Nikkei jumped 3.37%, with tech and AI stocks pushing the index to all-time highs. Sentiment just turned bullish because there's going to be a vote tomorrow for this woman to become Japan's next prime minister. Apparently a coalition was formed, and now they got the votes, and they're going to be pushing this through tomorrow, and they got that geopolitical situation out of the way. Boom, markets rallied. Markets are higher. Hong Kong, the Hang Seng is up, 2.48%. There's some positive activity in tech retail stocks. It was a broad-based rally. China's up 0.63%. Tech and AI stocks were leading the action. The economic data out of China, it's kind of mixed. The GDP for third Q came in at positive 4.8%. And it remains on track for 5% for the year, so that's positive. But you get that third plum meeting coming up. They're expecting additional economic stimulus, and that's going to be the narrative with China all week long. I don't expect the stimulus action to happen until later in the week, though. And then we're turning our attention over to oil, and oil it continues to be weak. We got WTI at $57.12 a barrel. That's down 0.73%. You got Brent at $60.86 a barrel. That's down 0.7%. I mean, honestly, it's a supply glut. That's why the crude oil is under pressure. Global production just remains elevated, and it's outpacing demand. And as a result, we're seeing oil prices weaken. So we'll have to see. And tomorrow you start getting the stockpiles data, so that could start influencing oil even more. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, a number of things to be watching as we start this new week. And one of those areas that is, starting out slow today, but certainly going to pick up as of tomorrow, you pointed it out, is earnings action. A number of big companies reporting tomorrow and throughout the week, something to keep an eye on. So let's start with earnings action. Bill, what is going on there?
Starting off with Cleveland-Cliffs, ticker CLF, Charlie, Larry, Frank. They met expectations. They did it on lower revenue. You look at the stock this morning, and it is trading higher. It's up 8.48%. Then you get Summit Therapeutics, SMMT, Sam, Michael, Tom. They missed by 9 cents. And, that stock's just getting hit. It's down 9.19% in the pre-market. But upcoming after the, tomorrow morning, GE Aerospace EPS is at $1.46. Expected move is 6.46%. Then you got 3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. Their EPS is $2.10, and expected move is 6.58%. Remember, they raised guidance last quarter, so things are going well for 3M. And then you get RTX Corp. Their EPS is at $1.42 with the expected move of 4.76% when they release tomorrow morning, Emily.
Watching all of that earnings action using your NewsWare alert for earnings. And when earnings season picks up and has a lot of action like it does right now, it becomes increasingly important to be able to gather that information quickly, be able to categorize it and sift through it so you can use it to your advantage. One area that we're not really sifting through a lot of information right now are economic reports, and the Fed is in its blackout period. So, Bill, anything to note when it comes to economic events today?
Well, I mean, there's nothing today, but, listen, the key economic data point for the week ahead is the CPI, the Consumer Price Index for September. This data, remember, it was originally scheduled for the other week. It didn't hit, but, they did call in the employees to kind of get this data out because they got to get this data out. So it's expected to come out on Friday, and it's, expected to kind of show a modest rise in inflation from 2.9% to 3.1%. Year over year. I mean, a 3.1% reading, signifies the highest inflation observed in the past 17 to 18 months. And that uptick is going to be due to the tariffs. It's going to be due to higher prices on food, gas, medical care, and rent. I mean, this is, going to be a big day on Friday, because also on Friday is the October flash PMIs for October. So those are the ISM numbers, and those are going to be key. But, other than that, it's really earnings, because it's a big week for earnings. I mean, you got IBM, Tesla, Lam Research, Intel. They're all set up to release, as well as General Motors, Coca-Cola, Philip Morris, and Netflix. They're all scheduled to release earnings this week, Emily.
A lot of action, like you said, on that earnings front as we await some more economic data, and really using both of those data points to get an overall picture of what is going on U.S. soil, which becomes important as we're gauging what the Fed is going to be doing next with monetary policy, putting the pieces of that puzzle together. And speaking of putting pieces of a puzzle together, the market and the news and the data that you're gathering is like putting pieces of a puzzle together day in and day out. And the pieces you're looking at are merger news, guidance news, shareholders meeting, buyback news, and catalyst calls. You look at your stocks grouped together using your NewsWare, like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 20 higher, 9 lower, and 1 unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. I'm seeing gains across the board in the FANG stocks. That's all positive. So, you got to kind of take a look and see what's causing some of this activity. And, listen, you got to start off with Apple. I mean, Apple's iPhone 17 series, apparently it's been outperforming its predecessors by like 14% in the first 10 days of it being available in the U.S. and China. Now, this is according to data from one, Counterpoint Research. I don't know how accurate it is, but it is data that's helping, Apple see some gains this morning. You got Apple up 1.47% this morning. Amazon, AWS confirms the underlying DNS problem has been resolved. Stock was lower, is now flat to higher. No, it's no, up 0.04%, minor. Then you got to talk about Netflix, because Netflix earnings are tomorrow. And, let's face it, they're expected to have a good earnings report. I mean, they're expected to, earn like $6.89. Expected move is about 8%. I have no doubt that the earnings are going to be strong. I mean, they have this K-pop Demon Hunters thing, which was huge for them last quarter. This thing really helped, had hundreds of hours of viewers on it. So that's very positive for Netflix. But you want to know something, Emily? I'm concerned about the guidance. The guidance is my concern, the forward guidance. Because listen, you had an unusual event. This K-pop thing hit. How's it going to duplicate next quarter? So I'm a little nervous about the quarter ahead. So I do expect to see good earnings, but I'm got a warning sign about forward earnings. In terms of Dow Jones 30s, Apple signed a 5-year deal. We're broadcasting rights to Formula One. We got Merck. They're beginning construction on a $3 billion manufacturing facility in Virginia. Boeing, hey, the FAA is giving Boeing the green light to raise their production to 42 737 jets per month. Nice. In terms of merger news, Cooper Companies, ticker COO, I see Jana Partners has built a stake. And that's all I'm seeing this morning in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Well, I have to giggle as you were mentioning K-pop Demon Hunters. Talk about making a pick. That is the constant pick at our house, whether it's the movie, the songs, Halloween costumes. So if you were going to ask my kids, Netflix would be their pick. As you mentioned, there's plenty other data information around that one to be watching. So what is your pick of the day today?
I'm going to go. This morning, I'm going to go with NASDAQ, NDAQ, Nancy David Apple Quinton. Listen, earnings are up tomorrow morning, and the EPS is 84 cents, and the expected move is 6.83%. You look at Friday's call volume, 3,200 versus put volume of 1,900. So, that's positive. And then you got open interest, 20,000, 859 to 9,885. That's 2-to-1. I like to see that. Major brokers are positive on the stock. They have elevated price targets. And let's face it, NASDAQ's kind of a monopoly. They have data sets, and all they have to do is raise prices on those data sets in order to achieve their earnings quarter after quarter. So, yeah, I think NASDAQ will do fine. But in terms of an entry price, I got to go 88.50, give or take 20 cents, give or take 25 cents. I mean, it's, I do think I do think we could see a little spike lower before it starts to rally. I mean, tomorrow is really the big day when the earnings are announced. But I do think we're going to see some positive movement in NASDAQ, ticker NDAQ. And that's my play of the day, Emily.
NASDAQ it is today. We will follow that along with you. And coming up, we will do a check-in on Friday's pick of the day before signing off. So stick with us through that. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Archer Air Taxi certification in the UAE is said to slip to 2026, ACHR. Alibaba, ticker BABA, they paused their stablecoin plans. Apparently, Chinese regulators expressed concerns with it, so that they're backing off. Let's talk Novo Nordisk, ticker NVO, Nancy Victor Oscar. The FDA approved their, this oral GLP-1 drug they have for reducing risks to heart attacks or strokes to patients with that are high risk with diabetes. Sanofi SNY, high-dose flu vaccine, cuts hospitalizations by 32% in older adults. WW International announces a collaboration with Amazon Pharmacy. Keurig agrees to sell beauty unit to L'Oreal for $4.7 billion. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into a new week of trading, let's take a look back on Friday. But actually, before we get to Friday's pick of the day, I have to make a mention of American Express, AXP, which was Thursday's pick of the day that we were continuing to watch on Friday. And sure enough, the stock did climb to $346.62. If our listeners recall, you had called a like 326 level, which it had dipped to and then continued to climb to that 346 area. So we're going to call that one a win. That had a nice little run. So you might want to address that. But we also want to talk about Friday's pick of the day, which was Raytheon Technologies, ticker RTX. You picked this one based off of that meeting that Trump was having in regards to the war in Ukraine, the talk of Tomahawk missiles. You were looking for a specific entry price on this one. This one climbed on Friday and is still climbing this morning. So, Bill, I'm going to call this a win-win, but I don't want to give it away. How did your call work out?
Well, in terms of American Express, listen, the pick was an earnings trade, and it did work out. And the reason why it worked out because earnings were good. Now, the weakness that it had the day before that really, caught everybody off guard was due to the weakness in the banks. Because all the banks started selling off. When Jamie Dimon said, "When there's one cockroach, there's more." I mean, that really caused a significant weakness in the banking sector. And American Express does move in that sector, but the earnings were positive. And sure enough, when the banks started to recover and realize it's not that big a deal, it's one bank, two maybe, American Express and the rest of the financial stocks did recover. And then because of the earnings were so strong, it jumped 20 points. So, American Express, AXP was a winner, at the end of the day, that Thursday pick, good pick. And then Friday, we went with RTX. Yeah, RTX was due for, there were two reasons here. The Tomahawk missiles, Trump meeting with Zelensky, and Zelensky is pushing for Tomahawk missiles. But you also, RTX has their earnings coming out tomorrow morning. So, you get two positive factors, creating this, some good wind behind the stock. And you look at the stock on Friday, the stock opened up at 156.33, hit a high of 158.54, and closed at 157.95. And this morning, stock's back. And, it's trading, 158.56. And it's already hit a high of 158.99. So, anyway you slice it, RTX on Friday, that Friday pick of RTX was a winner, Emily, was a winner.
We had two wins there, APX and RTX, AXP and RTX, so many letters there, but two wins. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's NASDAQ pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning this week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.